For me, it started with the question, what's the point of bringing children into this world if they're going to just get killed? Because a few men in power care more about their ego than the lives of the people they're supposed to be protecting. And then I really started thinking about motherhood and what it really means to be a mother in this world of today. And I came to the conclusion that being a mother or motherhood in the world of today is actually a nightmare. This is not really because of the act of being a mother. I'm also about being a mother in a capitalist and patriarchal society that is also always promoting discriminatory systems, whether it's racism, whether it's colorism, whether it's texturism because of somebody's hair, whether it's discriminating against disabled people. I find it so interesting that when it comes to this idea of motherhood, and especially as young women, one thing we are always being told is, oh, you should get children. It's time for you to get married and have children. When you look at the mainstream conversations, no one is actually talking about the intersection of motherhood with capitalism and patriarchy. And this is what makes motherhood become something that a lot of mothers don't even enjoy. And it's actually a shame that we are living in a world where a lot of women who are mothers are not allowed socially to speak about the challenges that they go through. If you look at the comments of the women who are sharing the real horrifying experiences about motherhood, always being told, oh, you don't love your children. Oh, you shouldn't be saying this because you're scaring young women from wanting to be mothers. You should be grateful that you have a child. Children are a blessing from God. And because I'm at that age where I'm being pressured to get married and have children, because apparently that's the only thing I should be doing in this world because I was born a woman. I definitely have a responsibility to truly think about the choices that I'm making for my life. Of course, because I'm someone who likes really thinking about things and really going deeper into things, I took it upon myself to really intersect it, to really go deeper, to ask myself the questions that make me uncomfortable with this idea of motherhood. More so to look at the societal structures and how it treats mothers. And it's very evident that the society hates mothers. And that's why for me it doesn't make sense when people are asking me, why don't you want to have children? It is very clear. Society has made it very clear that it doesn't want children, that it doesn't want mothers. But I've also come to learn that that is not very apparent to many people because a lot of people don't think about how societal systems affect them. And you see, many of them will go ahead and have children and then they start realizing, oh, patriarchy and capitalism affects parenting. Then now they want to do something about it, but it's too late. It's actually harder for you to fight the system when you have people that are actually depending on you to provide for them. And this is exactly why we need to have more honest conversations around parenting. And of course, because I am a woman and motherhood is something that people want to force down my throat just because I am a woman, it is of course something that I'm going to focus on. And adding the fact that I'm an INTJ, an architect, I am analytical, I am logical, I am very strategic when it comes to every decision I make. Of course, I have to tear apart every single thing, and once I make a decision, I know exactly why I'm making that decision. And this is why such a conversation is something that I find to be really fun. Even start with the intersection of motherhood and capitalism. This is something that is absolutely integral in the world of today. There's so many people who go around saying, oh, you should have children because it's your duty as a woman. But I think the question that people should be asking is, what kind of life do you want to give the children that you want to bring into this world? That gives you an entirely different perspective, because whether you like it or not, one of the key things that you need in order to have any semblance of a comfortable life, not even comfortable, in order to be able to provide the basic needs for your child, you need money. You can lie to yourself about how, oh, God is going to provide for the child. That is easier said than done. These are things that people who have never had children throw around, or the people who have children but don't even take care of the children. You know, like the ones that create a lot of single mothers. They just go around sowing their seeds. They abandon the children. They leave the mothers to take care of the children. And then they go to churches and they start preaching to people, oh, give birth to children. God is going to provide. The reality is you need a constant flow of income in order to provide the needs of your child. And of course, this becomes harder when you become a mother because you get locked out of the work environment because you are considered a liability. You've now given birth to a child. You're not that productive. It's called motherhood penalty, and I've spoken about this before. When you look at the world of today, AI is taking over everything. A lot of employers are choosing AI over human beings. It means that a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. Every time I have this conversation, this is actually the point where I'm told, oh, but the woman can just choose to be a stay-at-home mom. It's so interesting how some people feel like they have all the answers to how women should live their lives. Of course, you can be a stay-at-home mother. But let's be honest, for you to afford to be a stay-at-home mother means that your partner, which most times it's a man, needs to be the provider of the house, needs to be bringing in all the money. But if you're being honest, many men in the world of today cannot afford that. And it's not because the men are lazy, it's because the work environment is becoming worse and worse. A lot of men are also getting laid off from their jobs because their jobs are also getting automated. A lot of men are not getting paid well because the cost of is going up, but the salaries are remaining the same. We are living at a time where the middle class is almost disappearing. The few rich are getting richer, but everyone else is diminishing in their lifestyle. We are quickly getting to a point where we're just going to have the rich and the poor. So if you're talking about a stay-at-home mom, what do you mean? Of course, there are some women who can get children with the rich man and they can be stay-at-home moms, but that's a very small percentage. And out of that small percentage already, there's even a smaller percentage that actually lives comfortably as a stay-at-home mother. And the rest are just in abusive environments. I truly think that the films like Bridgerton have warped the sense of reality for a lot of people because they think that, or if they existed in those days, they would be like the Bridgertons. You wouldn't. People who would be like the Bridgertons are actually living like the Bridgertons today. The reality for a lot of people, especially a lot of women, is that being a mother is something that is going to impact your life in a very negative way, not because of your children, but because of the systems that we live under that make it hard for you to become a mother or a good mother or a present mother to your children. There's this phrase that is always being used, working mom. It is supposed to denote a woman that has a career but is also a mother. But I find that this actually diminishes the work of being a mother, because what do you mean working mom? Being a mother is a job. But when you say working mom, it gives this notion that people who are just mothers, like stay-at-home mothers, are actually not doing any work, and the women who have careers are the ones that are actually working. This is one of those narratives that has pushed this idea of, oh, women can have it all. You can have a career, you can be a mother, you can be a wife. That is a complete lie. Unfortunately, this is the reality for a lot of women. They are going to work, they're coming back, they're taking care of the household, they're also taking care of their children. They have no time for themselves. This is why you're finding that so many mothers have ill feelings towards their children. They feel like their children are draining them. They feel like their children have stolen their lives from them. And because it's not socially acceptable to talk about the challenges of being a mother, these mothers end up turning their children into their punching bags. I always wonder at people who are always talking about how people don't know how to be friends anymore. People don't know how to exist in a community anymore. Why do you think? A lot of people grow up in homes where the relationships they have with their parents is purely transactional. They don't know how to be loved. They don't know how to be cared for because they've not been shown that. Their parents keep on telling them, oh, I'm paying your school fees. You should be grateful that I gave birth to you. You should be grateful that you have food, that you have shelter. There are so many children that exist in households where they are always being reminded that they are unwanted, that they are a nuisance, that they are a burden, because their parents are so exhausted trying to make a living that they expect their children to behave like robots. Now they're like, I have to work the entire day to provide for you, and what? I now have to deal with you as a complex human being. And of course, when you bring this up, a lot of parents, mothers, fathers will tell you, but I tried my best. But you see, that's the problem right there. You think that you need to try your best, and yet society is supposed to give you the best so that you can actually bring up your children in the healthiest environment possible. They keep on saying that it is your job as a woman to bring life into this planet, but you bring life into this planet and then you're punished for it. The societies we live in are supposed to create healthy environments, abundant societies for women to exist in as mothers without struggling with these day-to-day necessities. The problem here is that a lot of people have internalized this idea that you need to work hard for you to barely survive. Well, there's some people who have literally never done anything in their lives. Their work is just stealing from other people and they're living amazing lives. People have been so brainwashed by things like religion to think that, oh, suffering is your ticket into heaven. And you see a lot of women who are not interested in fighting this unequal systems. You see a lot of those women who always have something bad to say about feminists, because what do you mean you want to be equal to a man? A woman should be submissive to a man. There are women who are continuously supporting these oppressive systems, and then they want to bring children into these oppressive systems, and then once they have children, now they are surprised because these oppressive systems also apply to them. They give birth to a girl child and suddenly are called unworthy. The good men that they married because they believe that, oh, a woman should be submissive to a man, suddenly they realize that, oh, this man actually doesn't like girls. This man only wants boys. This man is literally forcing you to get pregnant, pregnancy after pregnancy, because he's searching for a boy. Of course, because you want to be submissive and dutiful wife. You give birth to 4 or 5 girls, and the good man that married you is actually so tired of you, leaves you with all your 4 and 5 girls, and goes out there to look for another woman to give him a boy. It's so interesting, you know, because at the end of the day, it's the men that decide the gender of the child. You know what? There's so many women that blame other women for not producing the desired gender. You know, it's one thing to go through this oppressive societal systems, but it's another when you see women promoting the systems and then getting shocked when they're actually affected by the systems in a direct way. It is a fact that for many mothers, because you exist under a patriarchy, once you have a child, getting a partner, a male partner that is going to help you in your journey of parenting is actually very hard. This comes from socialization. Women are literally brought up to become mothers, and that's why anyone that says that they don't want to have children is actually seen as an anomaly, because what do you mean you don't want to be a mother? That is supposed to be a job. From the time you're a young girl, you're supposed to be taking care of everyone else. You're supposed to be putting everyone first. You're supposed to be nurturing and caring. Oh, they're teaching you how to develop a maternal instinct. But boys, on the other hand, they're never really taught to become a parent. They're just taught to have a child. Because they don't want to take care of the child, they just want to pass on their name to the child. That's why they'll tell you it's not their job to change the baby's diaper, wash the child. But the reality for a lot of women is that even when you find yourself a good man, chances are they're actually not going to want to be a dad. They might like you, they might love you, and you have the wedding of a century and you're happy. But once children come, all of a sudden you're like, why has this person changed? It's because they didn't want to be a father, just wanted to have a child. This is exactly why single fathers are always being applauded, like, oh my god, can you imagine he sacrificed his life to take care of his child or his children? What do you mean? He didn't even marry a woman to take care of the children for him. He's so strong, he's so amazing. And yet, if you're a single mother, you are vilified for being a single mother. How dare you be a single mother? Every single time that your child will do something wrong, they did that because you are a single mother. This is why women should not be alone. They need to have a man. But when a child that has been raised by a single father does something, it's, oh my god, the child is doing this because they didn't have a mother. The double standards in patriarchy is something I find so funny. But what is even funnier is the women that are always trying to defend patriarchy. You're trying to defend something that will not hesitate to blame you for something you had no control over. Even widows, imagine you lose your husband and you're being accused of killing them. The moment a man loses their wife, it's like, oh my god, poor him. And before you know it, he's being encouraged to look for another wife because poor man, he can't live without a woman. This is the realities like fertility. Again, I find it so perplexing that this is something that is not widely spoken about, especially in the mainstream, because the women of today, a lot of women are struggling with fertility issues, even young women. And most of the times you'll be told that it's your fault, but it's actually not. It's because of the lifestyles that we have, clothes that we are wearing, you know, they're made of plastics, polyesters, toxic dyes. All these things are contributing to hormonal imbalances, and these things are actually affecting fertility. The air pollution, the stresses that we are going through on a day-to-day basis, the long hours that we are working, all these things are affecting people's fertility. And it's not just in women but also in men as well. You're seeing more young women are getting diagnosed with things like PCOS and endometriosis. It's so interesting that socially, instead of people actually focusing on all these things that are affecting our lifestyles, the default is always to blame a woman for not being fertile. You see a lot of women who are experiencing miscarriages and they're being blamed for it. And it's even funnier because it's other women that blame the women. They will tell you, oh, your womb can't even keep a child. I remember growing up and seeing some women who were in the mainstream media who had been married but had not had children, and the conversations that people were having about them, people were so horrendous. I really cannot imagine the amount of stress that they went through, especially being in the public eye and always being vilified. You are doing your job, but your job doesn't matter because you don't have a child. Each and every time they appear on TV for their work as presenters, people don't want to listen to what they have to say because, oh my God, you're a married woman and you don't have children. This idea of fertility is something that has always been the burden that has been put on women. And yet, when you look at a lot of scientific studies, they show that things like miscarriages are actually the fault of men. And in the world that we're living in today, even when you do everything right, you might end up with fertility issues because of all these things that contribute to the lifestyles of today. And of course, apart from the problems with fertility that you might have, there is the reality of pregnancy. Again, this is not something that a lot of people want to talk about because a lot of women who are already mothers now, they do not want to scare away the young women. But you know what? There's so many people that die because of pregnancy. Did you know you could get diabetes and high blood pressure just because you got pregnant? And yes, it could kill you. I remember a while back, there's a Kenyan influencer who spoke about how she got fistula from giving birth to her baby, and later on they realized that that could have been preventable, but because a lot of these healthcare providers do not really care about pregnant women, they will treat you like an animal, they will treat you like a nuisance, and it's actually so bad for the poorer women. There are so many women that die because of pregnancy. There's so many women who lose their babies after giving birth, and all these things are very preventable. But you know why you're not hearing about it? Because we live in a society that thinks that the lives of poor people are not worthy. And so if you're a woman who is poor and you end up becoming a poor pregnant woman and you end up being a poor mother, no one really cares about your rights because no one cares about your life. And if anything bad happens to you, nobody actually cares. I think that social media is actually not helping us to see the true picture of the lives of many mothers, because a lot of the mothers that we're seeing on social media are those who actually have money. I've never really understood this idea of body shaming women who have given birth. What do you mean you're telling a woman that she's gained weight? This normalization of having partners, male partners, that are like, oh, you're not attractive anymore because you've gained weight. It is just given birth to a child. This pressure that is put on women to bounce back. At the end of the day, we really need to start being honest about the realities of motherhood. Of course, there's nothing wrong with motherhood, but motherhood, while existing in capitalistic, patriarchal systems, is not fun. It's actually a total nightmare. I'm actually surprised that a lot of women do not ask to be paid the moment they get pregnant, because what do you mean that you're carrying a child for 9 months and then someone is actually going to be like, oh, I do not want to be a father to this child? You should sign a contract the moment you fall pregnant with the father of that child, and if they refuse to take responsibility, they should denounce being a father to that child, so that you know from the start that you're the one that is going to be solely responsible for that child. You can start preparing yourself, and you can even give your child your surname, because it doesn't make sense. You're giving birth to a child and giving that child a man's surname, and that man has never been present in that child's life. I truly believe that a lot of women need to really start thinking like the patriarchy. You need to start putting value in everything that you do. There's no way that they're telling you that pregnancy is something that every woman should do, but they don't want to pay for it. Because whether you like it or not, your life is going to change because of that pregnancy. You're actually going to be denied of work opportunities just because you got pregnant. So you actually need to get compensated for it. And of course, getting compensated financially, that's like the bare minimum. We live in a capitalist society. You can make excuses for the patriarchy all you want, but at the end of the day, that patriarchy is not going to make excuses for you. It's not going to give you a prize. It's going to make your life hard. Unfortunately, a lot of women realize this when it's too late, when they already have children, when they actually do not have time to fight the system, because they are too busy trying to provide for their children. And they are so stressed, but they have no help and they can't say anything about it. When a lot of women become mothers, all of a sudden they become religious. Religious psychosis is actually a thing, because life has become so unbearable that they literally have to believe in religion. Otherwise, they're just going to be living in a state of depression. That is a literal nightmare.